December is a thyroid month. We take a look at hypothyroidism, a condition not many people understand. Hypothyroidism occurs when the thyroid gland can't make enough thyroid hormones to keep the body running normally. Generally, thyroid disease is much more common in females than males, with reported prevalences ranging from 2 to 8 times higher in females. To talk more on this, I'm joined by Dr. NewzroomAfrika, a specialist surgeon and oncologist. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. A pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for inviting me, Sansa, and welcome listeners.
Well, just take us through what hypothyroidism is and what are the symptoms?
Hypothyroidism is a consequence of the thyroid gland not working properly. And the thyroid gland is very important for metabolism, for the proper functioning of all organs in the human body. Let's start from the top, from the brain. If the metabolism in the brain is not working due to a lack of thyroid hormone, you become fatigued, you become slow in mentation, you cannot think very fast. Then let's move down an echelon and go down to the heart. The heart becomes slow in beating and it cannot pump with a normal vigor. Then we're coming to the muscles. Muscle exertion becomes compromised. The muscles become weak and cannot work properly. And so it goes on. Thyroid hormone is very essential in the human body. We see hypothyroidism occurring quite frequently, and it usually is due to an autoimmune disease. That means the body reacts against its own tissue, in this case the thyroid tissue, and destroys it.
Now, how should one manage symptoms or to prevent symptoms from occurring?
The first thing is one should actually first pick it up. And that is usually at the level of the house doctor, the general practitioner, that it will be done. And the easiest way to pick it up is to do the thyroid function test. That's a relatively cheap blood examination that gives you an idea of whether the thyroid is functioning properly. In women, we often see it associated with pregnancy, that there is a period after the pregnancy where the body forms these antibodies. This can be transient and can be observed. But if it is becoming permanent, then thyroid hormone, external thyroid hormone, needs to be given. It's a cheap medication that's widely available, and we haven't seen any shortages of that in recent times. So it's actually relatively easily treatable once you have diagnosis, but you must make the diagnosis first.
But just tell us about the treatment here. With this condition, what does it entail, and how safe is the treatment?
The treatment is very safe because what we give the patient is natural hormone, just chemically manufactured. So it's very safe. And one would need to see that the patients receive not too much and not too little of that hormone, and then the patients can live normal lives. If the patients get too much of this hormone, then just like in naturally occurring hypothyroidism, where the gland works too much, the patients can't sleep, and they become agitated, and they can even go into psychosis. The heart beats fast and skips beats and can even get into heart rhythm problems. And the muscles become twitchy and poorly controllable. So, but this can be relatively easily monitored by said blood tests. The feedback loop in thyroid hormone is relatively slow. That means if you adjust the thyroid hormone levels that you are taking of this artificial thyroid hormone, it will take a couple of weeks up to months before you see any change. So one tests generally patients who have too little of that hormone and who are getting this via a pill. One tests them once a year only. If they're the correct dosage, you test them only in a year again.
Now, Dr. Appelsteed, what advice would you give to the public who may suspect that they might have this condition?
I think it would be good if they seek advice from a general practitioner or at a hospital and insist that a thyroid function test can be done. And if the thyroid function test is normal, then for all intents and purposes, it's virtually impossible to have hypothyroidism. Once again, it's a cheap, fast test, and the remedy and the medication is also relatively cheap. And I think it's in the public sector, it's something like 10 to 20 rand a month. So that is actually very, very cheap.
Well, Doctor, thank you very much for your time. That's Dr. Eustace Applestreet telling us there about hyperthyroidism. Let's move to this now. Actress Thandeka